Hey guys, Colton here from the EV Kingdom, and welcome to part 2 of What If Blake Was Trained by Naruto. Now, I'm... He... First off, I was supposed to make this video yesterday, but I was having recording troubles and just forgot to. And second off, well... Okay, there's no second, sorry. Anyways, First things first, there's a few things I forgot to mention and a few things I want to ask. But before any of that, thank you for showing support for this series, and I even got a comment asking for a part 2. So if you're watching this, here's part 2. Okay, now first off is a question I have in mind. I mean, I already have a good idea on where I want this to go, but just for a good question, any RWBY fan who's watching this just knows Salem can't really die. And due to, well, God giving her immortality to learn a life lesson. Yeah, that turned bad. But yeah, she can't die. And in Naruto, they have Sage Mode, which is a mixture of normal chakra and nature energy. But in Naruto's training, if it's not done properly, he can turn into a frog, then into a stone frog. It would technically be dead. Which brought me to this question. If somehow Salem got nature energy in her, knowing it would just constantly overflow since she has no clue how to mix it normally, would she actually become a stone frog? Or would she just turn into a frog then slowly turn back? No clue. Leave an answer to that question in the comments below if you have an answer. If not, well, this will be difficult to ask. And secondly, I kind of forgot to mention, Blake does have the summoning contract for the frogs. She probably only uses it in case of emergency, and also to send messages to Naruto. Which I'm pretty sure Jiraiya did before, or because he does have the Toad summoning contract and a spy network. Just makes sense. Anyways, now I'm gonna start part 2, and I have another thing, but I'll get to that later. Anyways, we're back off where we left off at the night before. And nothing really changes at this except Blake is hanging out with RWBY and Yang. And comes up and they start talking. Which, now that I think about it, Weiss probably wouldn't even interact with them since she knows Blake is a faunus and, well, part 1 Weiss was racist, let's be honest. And I believe it would lead to a different conversation since Blake's a little more, well, her personality is a shut-in and more open. But nothing really much to change anything noticeably. Which leads us to where, well, John tries, well, if you haven't seen Volume 1, well, you might be new. I recommend you watch it. But he tries flirting with Weiss, which ends up getting him, well, I don't want to say impaled, but his shirt does get a spear through it, and he gets pinned to a wall. Kira did apologize for it, though. Which would still lead to normal, but I do kind of see something different. When Ruby tries asking if she would be on the team with Yang, and Yang says maybe you should not be on a team with me, and try getting to know other people. Now, in the last part, I already explained Blake would be at joining level, meaning she has been on a team before. Or and proved she was good enough to lead a team. So I actually think Blake would chime in, or whatever that saying is. Instead, eat something along the lines of, we don't know how the teams will be formed yet. Yet, for all we know, what happens now might actually determine our teams. If we're on the same team, well, we're on the same team. If we're not, we're not. All we can do is our best. And hope that's good enough. But that wouldn't mean, I wouldn't want to be on your team, Ruby and Yang. And with that, we head to the lift where, well, basically Ozpin and catapults them off. Yeah, Volume 1 RWBY was definitely something. But it led to 8 more volumes, with a 9th and a new anime coming soon, so it's enduring and nice. But it still doesn't excuse Ozpin for catapulting them. And now, this is where I actually bring that question I mentioned before up. Now, we don't know how Blake landed, or how far they got. Now, I already mentioned all of Blake's skills, and yes, she has the summoning contract, but I'm not giving her Sage Mode since that's overpowered. Possibly giving it to her Volume 3. But I'm still thinking through on that. But yeah, that brings me to a question on whether or not the partners would still tally up. By that I mean, would Ruby and Weiss still be partners, and would Blake and Yang be partners? Or would this actually affect that? Blake, I honestly don't know how this would affect it. Let me know if you actually find it interesting if their partners change or not, but nothing really changes through this, so I kind of believe, well, I'll keep it the same for now, but if any of you guys actually think the partners would change, please let me know, and I'll mention it in the next part. Yes, I'm making a part 3. I'll explain what I'm planning for that after this part. Anyways, everything pretty much plays the same. In the battle, well, how Team RWBY defeats the Raven. I know it has a different name, I just don't remember it. Well, that would change, but the outcome would still be the same. I'm pretty sure Blake would just throw over its sink. Instead of Ruby doing it, Blake would be the one propelled and hitting it with the full power its Rasengan. And Blake does have the Great Ball Rasengan. Naruto had it at this point. And he still had terrible chakra control. Well, not terrible, it's just he had more difficulty in using it. Plus, that's all he really learned. Jiraiya. Anyways, yeah, that leads to pretty much everything else happening. Sadly, not much in part 1 changes. Well, Volume 1 changes. Weiss would still have her rage moment in trying to prove she's better than Ruby. and Blake at this point because, as I mentioned, Blake used the Rasengan against the Grim, and it pretty much developed it. And I'm not good with grammar, okay? Anyways, yeah, that would still happen. John getting bullied. Well, that's a John episode. Well, and it lasts 2 episodes, so yeah. And nothing changes there. But I do believe during the first part of the John episode, when Velvet's getting bullied by Carter, yeah, I actually do see Blake getting in Carter's face and telling him to back off. Carter is being a bully and thinking, yeah, this Faunus can't hurt me. Still tries. And I'm just saying, Blake, it would definitely use the shadow clones. And I kind of read a fanfic of something, and they just had him make so many shadow clones. And also, one of them had a crowbar and looked menacing. And now that part stuck in my head. I'm not adding it in this, I just thought it was interesting. But yeah, she would still use the clones, and each of them would have a Rasengan. So yeah, Carter would leave, and I believe Velvet and Blake's relationship would get a lot better. Now we get to Sun. Everything along that line wouldn't really change. Yes, they would still see the dust factory, and they would still blame it on the White Fang. Weiss would still be annoyed about it due to her, hatred for the White Fang. And still blaming them for her family. Yeah, watch Volley. If you haven't watched RWBY, watch it. It would make a lot more. You'll understand it a lot more. While Blake in this situation, she actually wouldn't change much. She would still be annoyed that they're just assuming it's the White Fang, but on the other hand, she's not a part of the White Fang, so she's not that focused on it. So, believe it or not, they're not having an argument. Well, as big of one as they did before. Anyway, Sun still chose, they chased after him. Sun doesn't have to give a secret wink to Blake because she's willingly showing her ears, so everyone knows she's a Faunus. But yeah, all that plays out, and they would still get into a little argument because Blake's still a Faunus and still cares about her people. So, yeah, the argument would still happen, and when Yang goes, she's a victim. I believe this is where the high point of her training with Naruto would show. I still believe she would. Actually, let me rephrase that. Once Yang's. What Eight says she's a victim, and that's why she hates the Faunus and the White Fang. Blake actually, he does something Weiss wasn't expecting. Look, I'm sorry you're a victim, but newsflash, you're not the only victim. You lost people. I know that. And we lost people too. No, not just because we're popular. We lost people because people are scared of us. The White Fang was created to bring equality into us. But eventually, someone thought the only way to earn that is through violence. Yes. The White Fang I heard about before, it wasn't meant for that. So you think you're a victim? Look around. around you. All of us faunas. Yes, all of us went through stuff. You're not the only victim here. Stop acting like it. Like you're the only one that matters. And Weiss, shocked to hear it, just leaves. Now, I mentioned before Naruto used Talk no Jutsu on her Blake, and honestly, I think you can learn it. I mean, Kankuro used it not as efficiently as Naruto, but I do believe it can be taught if it's under the right conditions. Keep in mind, everyone Naruto used it on, Naruto could at least relate in some way. Like when he used it on Gaara. He understood how it felt to be how to be treated like a monster. How to be, it feels to be isolated from the entire village. And when he used it on Tsunade, he was able to remind her of why her brother and lover wanted to be Hokage. The Talk no Jutsu is more of a spiritual thing, and if the character can relate to the person they're using it on, the more effective it can be. I haven't seen much of Boruto, but I have actually looked it up, and he did use Talk no Jutsu once. Again, I have no clue if it relates to what I said, but yeah. It can be taught, I believe, and I believe Blake would actually understand being a victim. So the Talk no Jutsu would actually work on Weiss. Maybe not right at the moment, but at least it's instead of Weiss getting angry at her, or even more, Weiss just left to think about it. And now we get to the point where Sun and Blake would have first met, and Blake would have originally revealed her ears. Sorry, I don't know where that came, all whatever that was came from. Anyways, yeah. Instead of Blake being there, Sun actually meets Weiss. And why is it that, and why I'm not changing it? And Sun in volume, hold on. I think volume 6? Yeah, I believe 6. Sun stated that he goes wherever he's needed. And at this moment, Weiss is in need of help. So yeah. Sun meets her, and pretty much the whole Blake and Sun scene happens, but instead of Blake, it's Weiss. And I believe Sun would still recommend going to, see if it's actually the right thing. And yeah, all that would happen. But while there, Sun would steal food, Weiss would nag at him for doing it. And I believe Sun would explain some of the things he went through. Now, I don't know if he had a perfect life or still had a little mistreatment. I haven't read the books. But Weiss does actually listen and realize Sun is his own person. Well, at least in this universe, Sun and Weiss would have a better relationship. Then the whole Roman and I remember reading something or listening to something saying the white thing he was with were actually his troops and not the white thing. And this time it's more true since, as I mentioned in the last part, Blake isn't a part of the white thing, which led to Adam not joining Cinder. So these are just people dressed up. Weiss doesn't realize that and assumes they're all white Fang members. Here's tries attacking. We all know she's not the strongest of Team RWBY. Yes, more versatile, but to an extent, she. I really like how another YouTuber mentioned but she's more of a supporter, or instead of a front row fighter. Sun came to save her. He tells her that they're not White Fang. I don't sense anything from them. And why I said it that way? Well, Sun knew Blake was a Faunus, and even with the bow, so did Neo. And in the books, Neo does say Faunus can sense one another, especially if they're hiding it. So he would tell Weiss actually trusting him a little, does believe it, especially when Roman reveals that, wow, a way to throw the image, monkey boy. Well, no matter. None of you are making it out of here to tell anyone. Then pop up Ruby, Penny, and Blake. This, again, okay, let me go back a little to Ruby's perspective of where Yang, Blake, and Ruby are looking for Weiss. They still encounter Penny, and instead of Weiss and Blake running, well, in the canon, Weiss and Yang ran in to avoid Penny. This time it's Blake there, and this Blake is a little more, well, sociable. And I believe she would also call Penny a friend. And again, Blake was trained under Naruto, and seriously, he made friends with pretty much everyone. Even people who were trying to kill him, aka Gaara. And Obito. And Pain. Fact is, Naruto's just able to turn foes to friends at points. So yeah, Blake's with them when they go, and yeah, this goes a little more smoothly. Blake, having a lot more versatility and chakra, can just outmatch and outpower our Roman and his goons. As Roman does try, Penny does hold the plane, and I believe Blake would try throwing a Rasengan on, mostly out of remembering Naruto performed a Rasen Shuriken. She tries infusing it with Wind Chakra by doing a Gale Palm while holding Rasengan. I watched enough Clockwork Highlanders Naruto What Ifs to know something like that does at least equal a Wind Rasengan, which does fire, and yeah, Roman wasn't on that plane, it was on the ground running, but after seeing what happens, he knows not to mess with these girls. And I think Roman knows when to quit. Well, yeah, he knows when to quit, so he just runs. And luckily he gets out of the way. Or out of there. But everyone else just gives up. Hope they rather not mess with her. Or any of them. Which leads us to pretty much the ending of Volume 1. And where Team RWBY reunites and have a happy ending. I think in this timeline, Penny didn't really reveal much of her robotics. In fact, I don't think she really did reveal any of it. So Penny's still there. Yeah, and Ironwood didn't ban her from seeing RWBY. So they get to hang out more. And Weiss actually thanks Sun for all the help. So Sun would actually get to hang out with the team more. Ian has more relationship with Weiss than Blake. Well, yeah, what does he think about Blake? Well, after seeing that, He just knows not to mess with her. Or at least try anything that might lead to a Rasengan in the face. And with that, we get to the end of Volume 1. And as I stated earlier. And I'm ending it here because for Part 3, I'm actually interested in trying to do something different. And so instead of going right to Volume 2, I'm kind of going to Volume 4 or a little of 5. Mostly because, well, between Volume 1 and 2, the girls were on summer vacation and again having a different Blake, who actually does keep in contact with her parents. I believe during the vacation she would go to her parents, which I will mostly be taking the whole Volume 4 thing into perspective. Anyways, let me know what you think about that. If you don't like it, I can change it. Anyways, yeah, this is a longer video, but yeah, I had to go through Volume 1. And I'm still... I don't know why I'm taking breaths after talking. I really don't. Anyways, yeah, I had to go through a lot in this. Also, a lot of retakes. Inks during the voiceover happened, and a lot of things. Also, I record on my phone, and my phone turned off during it, so I had to restart the voiceover at certain points. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Let me know if you want to see a part 3. And also, I already asked 2 questions. Would Salem actually turn into a frog statue and technically die? I mean, I don't think they're dead. They're just stone statues. So would that technically be a win for our heroes if that happened? Also, do you think the partners would really change? And if so, would it really be that big of a deal? Anyways, leave a like, comment, and about any of those things, or just leave a comment. And also subscribe if you want to see more, or from the channel. And I'll see you next time. Bye.